All right, so I'm starting this episode a little bit different because this is going to be a little bit of a different episode. So rather than three people who don't know each other and have never met before, today I actually have three people that all know each other. So I used to do a dramatic radio show as a podcast about 10 years or so ago. It was a Sherlock Holmes mystery drama, and I thought it would be fun to get the actors that were on that show and have them come on this show.
Are you sure it's okay to let the other men go?
Yes, Watson, none of them struck me as the killing type.
And the conductor here tells me you've determined that it was just an accident.
It was Agent Heckelborough, actually, who deduced it.
Really?
Well, it's pretty obvious once you consider all the evidence.
That sounds familiar.
Yes, but I have to disagree, I'm afraid.
So, what are you saying, that this was staged?
Yes.
Look, I don't know where you...
Unfortunately for you, Watson and I happen to board the train tonight as well. Weathers will be along shortly to collect you. Until then, Watson! Good work. Sorry for the mess, Mr. McLean.
No, it's quite all right.
Ah, that'll be Weathers. We'd best go give him the news.
And what about Agent, whatever he was?
I don't think he'll be going anywhere.
Now, the interesting thing is none of them know that they're going to be on the show with the others. They all just think they're going to be one of the guests on a normal episode. And I'm going to let them all into the recording at the same time, and we'll see how they react when they realize who they're doing the recording with. And it looks like they are all waiting in the lobby, so I'm going to let them into the recording, and we will see what happens. Hello, hello.
The band's back together.
Look at that.
Officer Weathers has missed you all.
Indeed. Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
It's good.
Oh,
How
well.
are you?
How you guys been?
Good.
Good. So were you guys surprised to see who is on here with you?
I literally thought about it in the shower this morning. I was like, who would Scott put in a group with me? And I was like, it's probably going to be Steve and Greg. There you are.
I hadn't
Yes,
even
yes.
thought about it.
Yeah, I had thought about, I should get these guys to come on, just separately or whatever, just as individual people. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to get all of them to come on, we might as well have them all together, right?
Reunions. If NSYNC can get back together, then Mitso can wait. So
That's right.
So how have you guys all been? Everybody's in different places now. I mean, well, not different than where they were, but we're all in different places. Before, three of us were kind of in the same place. Steve's always been in a different place.
yeah, I'm still in a different place.
Physically as well.
Exactly.
It's fair.
And Mike, you're in Texas now?
Yep,
Who's
in
in Texas?
Dallas.
Oh, are you?
I'm right in the middle of Dallas now. I moved here to
wow.
work, to continue working for Toyota when they shut down the Cedar Rapids office for the most part. Here I am.
How does Texas compare with Iowa?
Well, there's no snow, Steve, so good, much better, I think.
There you go.
So I think the biggest, news from me is back in March I had brain surgery.
Oh, wow.
Brain
Yeah, that's
surgery.
fun.
Okay.
Through a random series of events, they found out I had a brain aneurysm. So they stuck a stent in my head so it doesn't pop, and I lay on the ground and twitch till I die, which is cool.
That's a good thing.
You seem to be doing well?
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were looking for it. They were actually doing a MRI because of my hearing. And they're like, oh no, that thing we thought was wrong with your hearing, it's not. But you might have an aneurysm. You might want to get that looked at.
Oh, an aneurysm would screw up your hearing too if it went too far. So that's
I mean, eventually, sure.
well. You look great for 34. So
Excited.
So I did do a little bit of a explanation of who you guys were before you all jumped in, so that people know why we're all just randomly saying, "Oh, we know each other." But yeah, I think it's been 10 years now since we stopped doing the Holmes and Watson thing.
Yeah.
wow,
10 years.
10
That's-
years. My goodness, that's a while. Yeah, I'm still here now in soggy New York. So thankfully,
Yeah.
I'm outside the flood zone right now. But Brooklyn, the Bronx, they're getting hammered. But
Yeah.
where I am, just a lot of rain. 10 years. My goodness.
None of us have aged a bit.
No, that's fine. It's I've got grandkids now, so it's
One of us still has hair.
yeah, I haven't tried that for years. So.
Yeah, I know. Me neither. So normally, the way these episodes work is I have some sort of a hypothetical question, and then we sort of start discussing it, and we go off on lots of random tangents. And I thought it might be fun with you guys, since we used to do a mystery show, is to give you a mystery, a murder mystery to solve. And we'll see how you guys do with that. Like one of those little murder mystery riddle things, you know?
Interesting.
Oh,
See if
great.
we're actually good at this in real life.
It's always easier when we have the script to solve it.
And hopefully you haven't heard it before. But if you have, that's cool too.
The butler did it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so here's the question. A man eats dinner, goes up to his bedroom, turns off the lights, and goes to sleep. In the morning, he wakes up and looks outside. Horrified at what he sees, he hurls himself out his window to his death. Why? And you can ask yes or no questions or other types of questions I may not answer, but
Okay, so a man eats dinner, goes upstairs, goes to bed, wakes up in the morning, and jumps out the window because he's horrified at what he sees.
yep, eats dinner, goes to his bedroom, turns off the lights, goes to sleep. In the morning, looks outside, is horrified, throws himself out the window. Why?
Okay, well, I can think of a couple of things, but
Okay, well, go for it.
Give it a shot there.
okay. Well, one, did he eat dinner in the dark?
I don't think so, because he ate dinner, went to his bedroom, turned off the lights, went to sleep. Actually, I'm gonna say he ate dinner, turned off the lights, and then went to his bedroom. I'm gonna do it slightly.
Okay.
I think that's probably more accurate. But he ate dinner in the light, yes.
Okay, so then he probably didn't unknowingly eat his pet or something like that to see the
Right,
empty
good
doghouse
thought, but
outside
no.
or anything like that. So.
Yep.
Wow, your brain went straight horrible.
That's
I mean,
that's
it had to be something bad enough for him to just throw himself out the window. I mean, yeah.
True.
There's another fine mess you've gotten us into, Watson.
Officer Weathers never solved a case on his own, so we're gonna need help. Okay, so so it's not something like that.
Okay, I guess the question is, well, lots of questions. Does it relate to his food, or was that just anecdotal?
His food is not important. What he ate is not important.
As in my brain was at cannibals and meat wagons out. So
Yep.
that's distressing.
Again, if he ate it in the light, then it's not like half his wife is sleeping next to him or something like that. So that's
Yeah.
I hate it when you wake up next to half of your spouse.
it's just it's
It's going to be a long morning when that happens.
yes, it is. It's well, it would have shortened my first marriage though. But
Did he die when he jumped out the window, or did he just leap out the window onto the ground level?
He hurls himself out his window to his death.
To his death.
to his
All
death.
right. All right. What's he see out a window that's worthy of killing yourself? Aliens attacking. The place is on fire.
Yeah, if it's unrelated to what he ate or anything like that, then kind of dinner comes out of the equation. He's upstairs, so it's not a first floor window where he just took a quick step out and he died. So that's another thing.
Yes, he was high enough that jumping out the window would not be advisable. Yes.
So you're saying he was high?
That's where my brain went to.
I mean, maybe that wasn't really in the story. So the police report didn't include that information. We're still waiting on lab
Okay,
results.
I'm just going from the information given.
Right.
Ooh. Did he saw something outside that triggered him to jump then?
He did. I'll say he saw something that made him realize something that made him jump.
Did he see something inside or outside?
Outside.
He saw something outside. Okay, so again, nothing horrific inside the house.
No.
Okay.
The guy reading the electric meter because he left his light on in his bedroom, even though he turned it off in the dining room.
That's a.
He saw the electric meter.
Electricity's expensive anymore.
Was he in a bad horror movie about people who were blind, had to blindfold themselves so they didn't hear these things that made them commit suicide, or
Nope.
Listen, that was not the worst horror movie of all time.
No, for things like it was not. Could be the trees from Shyamalan that made them commit suicide as well from that other movie, but saw something outside that made him jump to his death.
Humans are terrible. All we do is make movies about people murdering themselves. If you listen to
Okay, so outside his window is a billboard, and the billboard is Smokey the Bear that says only you can prevent forest fires. He realized he has not been preventing them. The trauma was so bad he leaped out the window.
You got it. How'd you know?
that checks out.
Or better yet, there was a small fire burning, and he can prevent it, so he leaps out to put out the fire to his death. There you
That's
go.
the other thing. So did he jump because he was jumping away from something or jumping towards something? Did he jump because he saw a family of ducks trying to cross the road that were having a problem and he wanted to leap to their aid?
Well, good thought, but I'm going to read the sentence again. Horrified at what he sees, he hurls himself out his window to his death.
Okay, but again, if there's a family of ducks that really
I
is
see what you're
having
saying.
a
Yeah,
tough
horrified
time,
at
Batman
what
wouldn't
he
throw
sees
a
about to
bomb
happen.
in the water because there were ducks in there in the 1966
Right.
movie. So ducks are important.
He is not. He's not trying to
Exactly.
prevent something by jumping out.
He's not trying to prevent something by jumping
All right,
out.
so that
Okay.
takes away the Smokey the Bear syndrome.
Right. Yes.
Horrified from what he sees. Looking
not
out
saving
the
the
Is
ducks.
what he saw outside or behind him in the room?
It is outside.
It is outside. It's Lizzo sunbathing nude.
Oh, dead.
So no, but that is a possibility because of the location, even though it's unlikely.
Okay.
And that's supposed to be a hint, but it's probably going to be more confusing.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So,
Do we know what part of the world he lives?
The part of the world, like what country he's in, is less important than the
geographic
terrain,
location?
maybe. Yeah, the terrain. This could be in a lot of places around the world, but not everywhere in, say, the country, or not even in every state.
Because it's specifically either in the mountains or on the shore, and that somehow is related.
Yes,
Okay.
something like that.
He saw Cthulhu out in the ocean and decided that it was time to leap out the window before he went
that's kind of where I was thinking. Yes.
No, but maybe.
Wow. You'd think this would be easier.
See, but you have an excuse for it. It doesn't matter. I can't find my keys. Well, brain surgery.
That's right.
Brain
Right,
surgery.
It doesn't matter what. I can't take out the trash
Yeah.
today. I got brain surgery. It's you got a built-in excuse.
I can milk
Lucky
that for
bastard.
I can't believe we
Yeah.
never used that as a plot line in one of our episodes. A serial killer that had brain surgery and it turned him into a killer. Like, that seems like...
Don't give him any ideas. Okay, Greg seems very nice right now. We don't want to turn him into something. So.
at any moment off the rocker. Though.
Okay, so he's seeing something outside in some weird geographic where Lizzo is not rampaging. So we've determined that Cthulhu is not swimming out in the ocean somewhere. So we've determined that.
It's not a Sharknado because you wouldn't jump outside.
Right. Horrified. Right. You wouldn't want to huddle indoors because there was something in there. So it'd have to be he.
How about this? He's horrified, but not because he's in fear for his life. He doesn't see something that makes him scared for his life necessarily.
Okay, so he's ashamed of something.
That's much closer, yeah.
Okay, so instead of a billboard, somebody is playing a movie of all of life's embarrassing moments.
Robin Williams is out there 1 hour photoing him or whatever that was.
I think it's more one embarrassing moment, and more so than embarrassing probably, but
More so than embarrassing.
but it's not on a billboard per se, but it is.
It's out there. It's out there.
There is something large that tells everybody what he did. You could say. You could say. That's not its intention, but the result of this thing, it would tell everyone what he did.
And it has not to do with that he ate dinner? Or it
No. No. The dinner
Okay.
doesn't really matter.
doesn't. We don't care about that.
That was the red herring. He ate a red herring.
Did he commit a crime unknowingly?
I would say possibly. I don't know for sure if this is a crime, but it certainly could be.
Okay.
He did do something bad accidentally.
Did he
yes.
have information that would lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton?
I don't know, but that's not relevant to this.
Benghazi tape.
He may have.
Okay.
Accidental.
Okay.
Do with him turning out the lights.
That does seem to be an important part of the story, yes.
Is the light switch attached to an outlet where someone's oxygen supply was cut off?
No,
That's good though.
but that's not
yeah.
as. I mean, it's wrong, but it's not as wrong as you might think.
Okay.
Maybe a metaphorical oxygen tank.
Turning off the light caused something to go off.
Turning off the light caused something to happen. Yes.
Caused something to happen.
That's what he said.
Oh my gosh. Is he the keeper of a lighthouse?
Oh,
There you go.
There you go.
Turned off the lights.
Yeah.
Went to bed, woke up in the morning and realized, look at all these ships that have crashed because of me.
The big ship that crashed. Everybody's dead.
Oh, all right. Well,
Very
see
good.
that?
look at that. Turns out we are good detectives after
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was very good.
Either that or we need our brains worked on more than Greg's because he's the one who figured it out. So it's very okay. So it's a lighthouse. Okay. That's good. Well,
Which is why I said I think he probably turned off the lights before he went to bed, because you probably can't turn off the big light from your bedroom in the lighthouse. Like, that seems...
Well, maybe. It's just right there next to the normal light switch. You know?
Maybe. That seems like a very poor design flaw.
Oh, it absolutely... I mean, if you want poor design flaws, I have a split foyer house, right?
Uh-huh.
And there is a light over the entryway. There is a light switch at the top of the stairs, bottom of the stairs, and at the entryway. If you use the one at the entryway, the other two don't work. That's a bad design flaw, too.
that's bad wiring, actually. I just went through that at my parents' house. The guy wired it wrong. It's not supposed to do that. Although I did see the same thing happen in Tom and Jerry, and it did not end well for Tom. So
Right?
No, it
The
did
lighthouse
not.
has to be badly wired or something, because otherwise, why would you turn off the light on purpose if you're the keeper of a lighthouse?
yes.
There has to be a switch that you shouldn't.
Right. Yeah, you would think that's the thing where it's, you get a pop-up that says, "Are you sure you want to turn off the light?" Right?
Well, I mean, today, that riddle was probably written in the 30s or something when
right, yeah.
they didn't have warning devices to keep them from being stupid.
Still, you would think that the light switch would have like a little cover over it, so you had to like flip it open and hit the, some sort of two-step process.
Yeah, but now you're getting outside the riddle part.
That's
Right.
right.
The whole point of that riddle is it slides the whole shuts the light off thing underneath the radar.
Right, you guys focused right on the eating dinner and just ignored the shutting off the lights. Even when I said, "Ooh, I think actually he shut the lights off before he went to his bedroom, not after," you still didn't focus on the lights because you don't think, it just seemed like a normal thing to do. You hit the lights off, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned Tom and Jerry, because my hypothetical question for us to discuss now that we've solved a murder or solved a suicide after a murder, or not
Well,
an accidental. A man, would it be manslaughter? Maybe that he killed all the people on the boat. I mean, it's not really murder.
Gross negligence.
Yeah,
Gross
I would go with
negligence.
that.
You could probably go for a
He
manslaughter.
probably didn't have to kill himself. He could have just,
who would have seen? They're all dead. That's
right, dealt with the consequences. A little bit of involuntary manslaughter never killed anybody, but
except who was slaughtered. But that's
right, those people, and they don't really matter as much anymore.
That's right. There are no
dead men
witnesses.
tell no tales. So
That's right.
Right.
So what I thought we'd discuss. You mentioned Tom and Jerry. I know Steve, you do some voiceover, a lot of voiceover work and stuff. Have you ever voiced a cartoon? I think you have. Haven't you?
I have done some cartoon shorts.
Okay, yeah.
But
I was thinking
nothing.
I'd seen something somewhere.
Yeah, nothing big stuff on it, and
Nothing like Tom and Jerry or anything.
Right, nothing like Tom and Jerry. Although not a lot of voiceover in Tom and Jerry, but
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Although I will say, I still crack out the Puppet Monster Massacre on occasion to show people.
There's a good man. Well, you have to watch the now trilogy of Karis Hell, where I am the voice of Duke, who is a murderous talking carousel unicorn, who comes to life and kills a bunch. That's a lot of. Actually, they did a full character arc on him over the 3 movies, and it's actually it was a lot of fun to do. So yes, so I typically play weird inanimate objects that come to life and do naughty things. So.
And you know what? We're going to put links to that in the show notes, so people should go check it out.
Look at that. See? So the plug was not in vain then, so that's good.
Right. Have either of you, Michael or Greg, ever done any cartoon voiceover stuff? I know you've done some voice work stuff too, but...
I have not. I've never done anything where, it was... That'd always be fun, but no.
I'm typecast as the narrator. That's my life when I get drawn to do things.
Yeah. You've done some acting and stuff in things, actual live acting. I know because I've directed a couple things you were acting in.
It's true. The old the jump start.
I don't know if we want to put links to that stuff in the show notes, but
Don't do it. No one needs to know about that anymore.
That's a thing that's lost to time, I think.
That's the past.
You guys did good work, and also you did some of the best damn Doritos commercials I've ever seen. So.
Oh man, yeah, those commercials.
Having been a necrophiliac morgue technician, I'd rather people not see that anymore.
So if we're getting into our personal lives, I guess
you had some awkward lines to say in that one.
I'm intrigued, though, Michael. That's
Wait a few more years, we can live it out.
He was the bad guy.
Yeah, naturally.
Of course. I mean, obviously.
Well,
what else would he
could
be?
have been the good necrophiliac. We don't know that. So that's
not a lot of hero body snatchers in the world, I don't think.
Nah, not too many. No.
Wonder Woman did it in Wonder Woman 84, where she took over that poor guy and made it into Steve Trevor. So
that's fair. You get one out of
you get
4.
one.
So here's my hypothetical question, or it's a question for discussion. What cartoon would be the best or the worst to live in for a week? Think Space Jam, where Michael Jordan gets sucked into Looney Tunes world, right?
Wow.
That's okay. There's a whole gamut that you can do things because.
Oh yeah, and we can use cartoon loosely. I mean, we can go with.
I think the 3 of us in Scooby-Doo would be just about the best thing ever for everybody who's watching. Maybe not for us, but for the rest of the free world.
Trying to solve the mystery.
Scooby-Doo wouldn't be bad as long as you exclude the movies, because it's always some guy in a rubber mask. So you don't really have to worry about that. Heck, you can just hang out in the soda joint the whole time. It's not like you're in Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers, where at any moment an anvil may fall on your head, or the laws of gravity may just not work. That's dangerous. Nobody ever died in Scooby-Doo.
That's a good point. Right. They were normally just scared of something that wasn't really that scary.
Exactly.
If you hang out with Shaggy and Scooby, you'll be fine in the Scooby universe for sure.
I would think so. Yeah, that would probably be one of the safe ones. SpongeBob
Yeah.
wouldn't be a bad place to go.
Yeah, and
SpongeBob's
people
a
wouldn't
fun place.
immediately think those would be safe, but they are.
Right.
Well, the main problem with SpongeBob is the whole underwater not being able to breathe thing.
If the squirrel can do it, so can we.
Exactly.
But the squirrel
So
has the helmet thing, so you'd need to have the
We're gonna have to.
we'd have to have it. We'd have to have a helmet on at all times.
or be
yes.
under a glass dome, right?
Right. She has a giant tree in her glass dome. That's fine. We can do that.
But you could have, yeah, SpongeBob would be okay. I mean, yeah, any cartoon pre-1990, you're probably in danger of getting killed at any moment from a
Exactly.
variety of ways.
The Jetsons would be fun, the future.
They have a lot of heights, though. I'm not convinced.
They have a lot
that
of things
living
to fall off of. That's true.
You know when the Jetsons takes place?
I don't know, actually.
2062. George Jetson was born last year
Wow.
because he was 40 years old in 2062. So he was born
There you go.
last year.
There you
So-
go.
Crazy. Where is he? He's a baby right now. We should go. We should go meet him.
We got to work on our flying cars and floating houses. We're never gonna get flying cars. It's just not gonna.
There are some people working on some flying cars.
Yeah, the flying cars, they're going to be commercially available next year, I think.
Well,
that's
maybe.
like a Tesla. I don't want version 1 of any of those things. So,
I feel like flying cars is part of the problem with the flying cars is, like to fly a plane, you have to have like a pilot's license, and it's a whole thing. Like everybody can't. You have to make it easier to fly and safer to not crash into things.
Well,
somehow.
yeah, the big
They
problem.
probably need to be self-driving, is what you need. But
The flying car problem is the fact that we already have people that have problems driving on the roads with stoplights
Right.
and stop signs.
Yeah.
right.
And you put somebody in the air, how are you controlling that?
Well, and now you have a third dimension too, because when you're on the road, you're not going up and down. So that's why I think the only way you're going to have flying cars is if you already have the self-driving figured out,
Yep.
and they can be self-flying, and then it would make sense.
Well, but then you also sit in that situation where somebody can hack in because they're, twisted or evil,
yeah.
and, hey, look, all these little flying cars are crashing into buildings everywhere.
It might be fun. Futurama might be fun for a week, just to hang out with them.
Until you get eaten by a sewer mutant.
So, well, but I've always wanted to try Slurm. So, but I mean, you've got some of the weird ones, Adult Swim, which are whatever these weird jail ones and all kinds of weird crap ones that are. I don't know that I'd want to live in any of those.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I feel like, is just asking to smell rotten meat for a week.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
let's face it, the cartoons I actually, find myself watching now are definitely ones I would not want to hang out in.
That checks out. Rick and Morty don't want to be there. That's a good way to die, unless you're away from the family.
Now you could flip that around though. So let's say that you went into a preschool cartoon and you went into Paw Patrol or you went into something like that. You could probably rule the world pretty easily.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, Paw Patrol is so weird. Like, I don't know if you guys are all. Steve mentioned it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but the mayor has a pet chicken randomly, and like talks to it and asks it questions. And I don't know. My youngest used to watch it when he was pretty little, and like the whole premise is that there's this group of dogs that are like the superheroes that save the town. The town is reliant on puppies to save them all the time from everything, every disaster.
And something always goes wrong. So that's
yeah. You're
You stop and pick up a bag of Scooby snacks in the Scooby Doo universe before you go to Paw Patrol land, and then you're good, I think.
that's it. You don't worry about it. If you want to talk about a trippy show that it wasn't a cartoon, it was a weird puppety thing from Iceland called Lazy Town.
okay.
Lazy Town was it was live action people along with the scariest looking puppet things that you've ever seen. and it was all about a guy who was basically trying to keep everybody fit and exercising. It was a get up and jump around kind of a show, and there was a kind of a evil mustache twirling bad guy who was in it as well. But some of the things in that are the scariest stuff. And the mayor in that town is entirely corrupt. He's constantly taking bribes. He's constantly.
So it's like
this
The
is a kid show.
Well, you got to teach them that stuff early.
Well, that's true. Yeah, how to succeed in politics. So, but yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff out there that when you think about this is what it is. There was a. Do you guys remember the movie Time After Time? Roddy McDowall or Malcolm McDowell, and it was with Jack the Ripper.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Came into the 1970s or 79, 80, whenever the movie was made. One of the things that they were horrified by is, Jack the Ripper is telling H.G. Wells, who was chasing him in his time machine, basically saying, look, you thought you were sending me into utopia. He's like, this time was built for me. Here I'm an amateur. And he turns on, one of the things he shows is Bugs Bunny. Things exploding in everybody's faces. It's like, this is what their children watch. And so yeah, we've been training the kids for a long time. So it's no wonder we all look the way we do. So.
It's fair. It's very fair.
I wonder if you said, Looney Tunes would be dangerous because of, anvils falling on heads and physics not working and you fall off cliffs and whatnot. But I wonder if you were in the world, would you be, similar to the other characters where you wouldn't actually get injured by that stuff? The anvil falls on your head and you would kind of have a flat head for a little while.
You mentioned Space Jam before, and that's wasn't that how they did? He finally figured out he could behave like a toon.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Conversely, Roger Rabbit takes it the other direction.
Yeah.
The toons can mess you up.
Which was a great film. Absolutely wonderful film.
Which was cartoons coming into the real world instead of people going into the cartoon world. Yeah.
Roger Rabbit was a terrific, terrific film.
It absolutely was.
So maybe a related question is, what character from a cartoon, if you could bring one cartoon character into the real world, who would you do?
Can we get Jessica Rabbit for like a half hour or something like that? But that's, well, again, that depends on what you're looking for. I mean, hanging out with Superman would kind of be cool. It would be, the Great Gazoo would be an interesting guy to hang with. Or
I think I'd like to spend an afternoon with Snidely Whiplash and really understand his thought process.
Well, honestly, if you're picking any one character and bringing them out of their world, I don't think there's, unless you've got some absolutely maniacal thing, I think every single one you choose would be a great choice.
It'd just be fun to hang with, yeah.
Even if being the villain, as long as they're not a homicidal maniac, would be absolutely entertaining for half an hour, no matter who it is. I would love to hang out with Mojo Jojo for half an hour.
Counterpoint to that, there's a cartoon called Dinosaur Train, and there's like Tyrannosaurus Rexes, and I don't know if you want to bring one of them into our world for a half hour.
Well, scale-wise, are they tiny? Then it's okay.
Well, that's a good point. I don't know. Are they normal? I mean, it's called Dinosaur. So that's another one that's I always thought was kind of funny, because they basically said, let's see, kids like dinosaurs, kids like trains. Let's put them together and make a show about dinosaurs riding on trains. Like, what? So they are small enough to ride on a train. So either it's a really big train or they're small dinosaurs. Yeah. So that's a good point. If it was a small dinosaur.
Yeah. See, and then you just pick him up, put him in a basket if he's being ornery. You just calm down. You realize, of course, that this is basically how most cartoons come about, is four people sitting around going, I don't know, what do kids like these days?
I would also not want to bring Caillou into the real world. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Caillou. Worst cartoon ever made. Do not, if you have kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews around, don't let them watch Caillou. It's so annoying. It's basically a kid whines and complains and is a badly behaved kid. That's essentially the cartoon. Terrible.
So it's C-SPAN.
Yes.
And he randomly has no hair. He's like bald, and so he looks like a little cancer baby. I don't know I don't know. No explanation why.
I'm intrigued now.
Now we need to watch it. I'd watch Interdimensional Cable with Rick Sanchez too.
Okay, that's true. You've got you know.
As long as he's sitting still, I can't follow him into other universes and get mooshed or anything. That's just not what I'm about. But
Now, do you be selfish about it? Do you bring in, like Cosmo or Wanda from the Fairly Odd Parents, or the hat from the Sorcerer's Apprentice and the magic wand, and just say, hey, you know what? I'm in charge now.
I'm gonna bring in the fairy godmother and make her lock her up, make her grant me wishes.
There you go.
Or the genie. There
Or
we go.
the
We want
genie,
the
exactly.
genie in the lamp. Yeah,
you take the genie just to hang out with pseudo Robin Williams for a little while.
that's a good point. Yeah, he would be a fun character from the animated specifically.
Yes,
yeah, we are
yes,
talking
no,
about
that's-
animated, so yeah, but less interested in Will Smith as a genie. But
Yeah, no, that's and just wait 10 years, then they'll reboot the live action one, and
right, they'll say, "Ooh, we're doing a remake. It's going to be animated this time."
that's right, exactly. Look what we've done.
It'll happen. Give it time.
And by then, all the voices will be done by AI, so it'll be Robin Williams as the genie again.
True. And Disney stock will be 2 at that point. So that's yeah. Well, that's a whole mess in itself. I feel bad for what's become of Disney, but they did it to themselves.
Yeah. So I wonder, we said cartoon that you would live in for a week. I wonder how it would change if it was going to be for 10 minutes or for a year. That would make a big difference probably on what cartoon you'd want to live in, right?
Oh, yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
Because SpongeBob, you could live underwater for a little while, but for a year, that would get pretty old, I think. Having to be in your
Well,
little...
not to mention the fact, a big thing about SpongeBob, think about, is scale.
Yes, you would tower over everybody. You'd have to shrink yourself down
That's true.
to
I
be
mean,
appropriate,
the
yes.
squirrel, you're never going to get into the Krusty Krab.
Well, yeah, you might not even be underwater because I don't know how deep the water is where SpongeBob lives. It might just be up to your waist. Are they just in a little puddle or a pond, or are they under the ocean?
No,
I don't know.
they're in the ocean because all of those houses that the non-SpongeBob fish live in are actually car mufflers that have been dumped in the ocean. As Hillenburg was a great environmentalist, but yes.
The song tells us he lives in a pineapple under the sea. So,
well, that's yes.
But we don't know how deep part of the sea,
Right. It's not necessarily super deep.
3 feet off, Florida coast is in the sea.
Yeah.
Also, the Krusty Krab's going to have to just constantly be producing patties in order to keep you fed for that year.
That's true.
Well, and those are probably really tiny burgers, right? You need a lot of them, yeah.
You need a lot of them.
Where are they getting the meat for the burgers?
We don't talk
Ooh,
about
you don't
that.
want to know.
I never thought about that.
No, it's a whole Soylent Green thing. You really don't want to go that way. So it's
Actually, there is a comic that you can find online that somebody did that is sort of like a cross between, well, it's all SpongeBob characters, but it's kind of like an H.P. Lovecraft story it ends up being. And if you can find it, it is wonderful. But there is this whole tie-in because starfish regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
So SpongeBob's been feeding everyone Patrick.
oh, okay.
Sure.
You know what? Patrick wouldn't even care.
Oh no, but Patrick gets angry. It's very dark, but it's wonderful.
Maybe that's what happened to Patrick. He regenerates, but he loses a little bit of his, intelligence every time. And over the years, he's just because he used to be a genius.
Of a copy of a copy. Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't know.
I think I could live in the Bob's Burgers universe for a year handily. It's a pretty chill place. All of the weird things only seem to happen on their street.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens in most shows where all the interesting things just happen to be taking place in their area.
That's true. You could live in the Simpsons universe, but live in a completely different part of the country or the world, and have no idea who the Simpsons are.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Safer that way.
Exactly. So
You could live in the next town over, and you'd really only be aware of Springfield every, handful of episodes.
Yeah, it's every Halloween basically. So
Simpsons is interesting, and a lot of shows do this. But one of the things I always thought was interesting is how it's both a very large city and a really small town, depending on what they want to happen on that episode.
Oh, yeah.
They've got a baseball team and a nuclear power plant and all these things, yet there's 50 people in the whole town, and they all know each other, and there's one elementary school.
it's very cliquish. So.
Yeah.
But suddenly they're big enough they need a monorail.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Now that's Mayor Quimby just on the take trying to, get in the federal money. That's all.
You're really great in the American Dad universe too, until there's a rapture.
Fair.
American Dad would be interesting.
You could go to King of the Hill and just hang out and drink beer with them all the time, right?
So my same life.
Yeah, Greg's been living in that one for a while.
The only difference is I'm not in Texas.
Right. Well, yeah, Michael, you've moved to King of the Hill, right?
I even have the correct color fence and a propane grill out back. So
Perfect. Have you mastered your...
I have found myself saying howdy a lot more, to my chagrin.
But you still say chagrin, at least.
I was going to say chagrin counteracts the howdy, so you're okay.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent.
Have you gotten into y'all and all y'all yet?
I avoid y'all and all y'all like the plague. Those don't work.
How about yous guys? You do that one?
You guys? That's more like...
That's
I know.
up here.
That's not Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more
like
Jersey
Steve's
going
zone.
on there.
Yeah, that's true. That's Steve's thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd look, there'd be interesting places for a little bit of time, interesting places to do things, and, different time periods and stuff. You could go back to the Flintstones. I would try one of those, T-Rex burgers and stuff like that. I'm a big meat eater, so that's okay. Flip the car
Flintstones
over,
could be fun, yeah.
Oh, the Brano ribs?
The Brontosaurus burgers. So you could do that.
I got a plan. We're all gonna go together for, I don't know, we'll figure out how long we need, half an hour maybe. But we're gonna go to DuckTales and we're gonna break in and steal all of his money that he dives into, all that. We're gonna break in there and we're gonna steal it and bring it back with us.
History tells us that we're not going to be successful. If the Beagle Boys can't do it, I'm not real convinced of...
Pinky in the Brain might be interesting for same type of
Ooh, there
reason.
we go.
Trying
The
to have fun
Animaniacs,
with
yeah.
that. Yes, Animaniacs and all that. That would be fun to do. Yeah, if you just wanted to relax, there was like the Hillbilly Bears. That was one that was on with Yippee Yappy and Yahooey. It was a whole Hanna-Barbera thing that was on in the 60s and 70s. That was that's all they were. They're just a family of hillbilly bears. Every now and then you get in a fight with the family across the way, but it was a pretty easy existence.
I feel like living in a lot of the older Disney movies really wouldn't be that problematic if you stayed clear of the story arc. Like Snow White, you could just hang out in the castle town and live your life.
If you're a wedding guest, kind of a thing, you're not in too much trouble. So it's
as long as you're not too pretty, you're good to go.
That's right.
No one's going to bother you.
well, then the four of us are safe, so we're all good. So
It is as you say.
Yeah, or you could be in like Toy Story and you wouldn't even know anything was going on because the toys, go to sleep when you're nearby, and you would just seem like real life, right?
yes, okay. So if you go into computer animation and things like that,
Sure,
then there's
sure.
a whole other thing that you can get into on that.
Yeah, or what about anime? That's a whole nother style.
Anime, it's
That goes weird real fast.
yeah,
for,
that's
Right.
for us.
I think that's the point.
But I don't want to be there while it's happening. I don't mind watching it from time to time, but
Right. I want to be at a distance watching that. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't think of any anime where I'm like, I really wish I was over here watching that, like in their zone. Giant robots, too many people with swords, vampires. Nope, I'm out of it.
I guess it depends on what kind of powers you have, but that you have to just
Right.
because in anime everything is and here I am walking to this and I'm going to do this and now I'm going to use my power to do this and I'm shooting my power right now, and so that would get old pretty quickly about having to narrate your own life while you were living it. So
That always drives me crazy in live action movies. It's always the tech guy, the hacker person. I'm using a such and such attack to do that. Like, okay, why are you narrating your life for and they're always typing on the keyboard. Nobody ever uses a mouse. No hackers ever use a mouse, apparently. It's all keyboard.
Or worse, it's like hackers and they've got a physical representation of the inside of the computer system that they're trying to navigate through.
Yeah, there's all these nice graphics that are showing as you're...
Yes.
Oh, you just have to navigate to the right thing. It's like walking down the street, and then you get in, and it's fine.
I just have to roll my eyes whenever I see those kind of scenes. It's just like anytime a medical scene comes up, my wife's the same way. So my wife's a doctor, and anytime any sort of medical thing comes up, I'm just like, yep, this is probably wrong, isn't it? She's like, yeah, that's not right.
For sure.
Most movies, you're not supposed to think too much about it.
Except, of course, in Jumpstart, we had all the medical stuff perfect, right?
Well, absolutely.
Of course. Nothing was wrong with that program.
We had a pretty good set. It was pretty cool. It was a teaching hospital at a university, like a community college. They've got a teaching hospital, and so it looks just like a real hospital, except, there's not patients there, so you can go in and film. And so that was pretty cool. But, we had the stereotypical bringing somebody in from the ambulance, he's got blood all over, and they're saying random medical things as they run him down the hallway.
Normal.
I'm sure none of that made actual sense.
You got to sell the scene. And they said all of the things that everyone says in every TV show, like multiple lacerations and contusions. Like those are the words you expect to hear when someone's being moved through.
And I think we had way too much blood. Just like,
well, that's what happens when you pour it from a Pyrex container onto someone and not it comes from inside of them.
What did you use for blood? I am curious.
We spent the night making it. It was a mixture of corn syrup and Kool-Aid and food coloring and everything that I could come up with to get it to just the right color. But it was goopy, and I'm sure it tastes delicious. I think Scott ate some of it at some point.
Probably.
That one of the few live action movies I did was I got stabbed, and so I had the blood pack right here, and so it was just. But I was in a barn, and it was outside. The lights are on, bugs are everywhere, and that's what it was. It was corn syrup. Mm-hmm. So I am covered in all of this stuff, and bugs are like, "Oh, smorgasbord, good." Everywhere. It's, things getting caught in amber in my ears. Help me. And it's absolutely horrible. So it was, but yeah, that nasty stuff. So, okay. So it wasn't the guy trying to torture me. That's pretty much what you use then. So.
Checks out.
So I think every short film I've made, somebody has died in the short film. But I haven't actually had to use much fake blood. I don't remember using fake blood much.
We tried to make a nice, fun, happy movie, but one of the actors couldn't show up for a second day of shooting, so we had to kill them, and there was no way around it.
That absolutely. So. And
I've made several where it wasn't like a murderer and a gruesome thing, but it seems like somebody always dies in all of my films. I don't know.
That's how you get the emotions.
It's something to talk about.
Well, that's true.
So if you're ever doing something where you're using fake blood and you're making it like out of corn syrup, if you're doing it where you are getting it on clothes and you want those clothes clean, add a clear dish liquid.
Okay.
And it will absolutely wash. Just don't eat it then. But I was in a theater show where we had somebody get stabbed 7 times and falls face forward onto a white rug, and we had 14 shows, and every show that white rug had to be white again, and that's how we did it. Is we had to put in so much laundry or dish liquid, and you could absolutely wash that out.
Wow,
good to know.
Does it work on actual blood too?
I was going to say that's your.
I don't know.
So if you get a cut, you should squirt some dishwashing detergent on yourself.
Strobe Studios presents helpful tips for the murderer at large. So.
That could be a podcast right there.
That's right. Cleaning up the murders in the building. So.
Cleaning up the murders in the building. I like that.
Today we'll be talking about disassembling your murder weapons to remove all traces of blood.
Cleaning up the murders in the building sounds like a podcast that's just talks about all the things that are wrong with the show and what they should fix to clean up their show.
It's just good seeing Steve Martin and Martin Short back together again. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
See, the Three Amigos, I would go into that film also.
There you go. Yeah, it's not animated, but maybe it should be.
It's close enough.
It could be.
Yeah, it's animated in the metaphorical animated sense, where they're very animated.
They're all cartoony, right? Yes. But you could say the same thing about Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead 3, that it's just a live-action cartoon.
That very
Yeah.
much is, absolutely.
But also places I don't want to go.
I did not want to go to Evil Dead 2 or Evil
No.
Dead 3. That's I'll stay away from there. So
Zombies are where I draw the line. That's it.
that's why I'm north, guys. Zombies, you never see zombies in the snow too much. So that's it. That's when the zombie apocalypse. I'm moving to Scotland or Iceland or somewhere up there, and it's zombies aren't coming that far. So
It's funny. Almost every episode, as we randomly talk about stuff, we end up coming around to discussing something that had been discussed on a previous episode, even though the people talking about it didn't necessarily know, because a lot of times either they haven't listened to the previous episodes or it just hadn't been posted yet. And one of my previous episodes was what would be your strategy for surviving the zombie apocalypse? And now your strategy is to be up north. Yeah.
be up north, stay where it's cold. That's it.
Yeah. There you go. Simple. That would have been a short episode if you were on there. That's it.
See that problem solved. Done.
Have there been any animated, any cartoons with zombies in them? I'm sure there has been, but I don't know of them.
Well, there's been some Scooby Doos. There was Scooby Doo on Zombie
that's
Island.
true. Yep, that's true. Yeah.
You've had.
There's probably been some zombies on SpongeBob somewhere. I don't know.
There was one where they thought they killed the health inspector, and he rose out of the grave, but he wasn't quite dead yet. So he wasn't quite a zombie yet.
I enjoy that we are a group of 40 plus men who all have a working knowledge of SpongeBob.
As well we should. As well we should.
And plenty of other cartoons, clearly. I noticed when I asked the question, nobody said, "Oh man, I don't really know cartoons very well."
No one said that.
I don't want to hang out with those people. That's why. So that's no. But look, if I talk about comedy duos throughout this, I mean, you have Laurel and Hardy, you have Abbott and Costello, okay, you have Bert and Ernie, okay, and you have SpongeBob and Patrick, and they all, it's it. You got the straight man, you got the funny guy. It's everything works. Everything works. You follow the formula.
That's
Now,
right.
Sesame Street's another one that's not animated, but is animation adjacent.
it's
It's puppets
Muppety.
and stuff, right? What would you think if you were in Sesame Street? That seems like a decent place to hang out for a while. It's nothing too dangerous happening.
You could hang out with Oscar. Would probably be. I wouldn't fit in the can, but it would be because apparently he's got a whole underground network under there that goes on for a while. But that would be another one where you could probably take over pretty easily if you wanted to. So
It's true. No, the Muppets aren't like coming out with pitchforks or anything to stop you. They're just like,
No.
"Oh, how can we help you to subjugate us, please?"
on the Muppet Show they would, but
That's true.
but on Sesame Street probably not. I would not want to live in the Fraggle Rock universe because they were just as annoying as hell.
I'd like to be one of the things that the Fraggles are afraid of and crush them. That's fine.
Wow, that one.
So if you had to go straight animation, you'd be Gargamel for the Smurfs. Is that what you're going for? Yes.
Checks out. I would appreciate being the villain of that story too.
There's been lots of animated things based on video games too, like Mario. There's been several Mario, movies and TV shows and things like that. What about an animated, like video game based show? Are there any particular ones that would be good or bad to be in?
Paperboy would probably be really boring.
That was one of my favorite games back in the day. I love Paperboy.
I feel like they make a Paperboy, or maybe he was just in a movie somewhere.
He was in the Adam Sandler one, Pixels. He
okay.
had a quick cameo in that one. Well, hell, you had Pac-Man had his own. Pac-Man still has his own cartoon. The Pac-Man cartoon was very, very weird.
Yeah, I mean, what would it even be like for a real life person to be in Pac-Man? I don't even know what that would.
Depends if you're a dot, a ghost, or where you're coming from on.
And again, that's all about scale. How big is Pac-Man in our scale?
That's a good point. Are you just a little tiny thing that can walk around in his mouth, or are you bigger than him? Yeah, I don't know. There were. Well, I mean, the 80s was definitely the era of all the cheap cartoons that they came out, because you did have Mario Brothers and you had Pac-Man and all of
the other ones. That's when they went into all of the video games. In the 70s, they did all of the cartoons of the live action shows. So you had Happy Days cartoon. You had the Laverne and Shirley cartoon, which came out. The Brady Bunch cartoon came out. You had all of those. That was, and Dungeons and Dragons was another very, very good cartoon that came out. Deep stories on that one. But yeah, and all of those silly 80s ones, everybody had to do a rap at the end. Didn't matter what the venue was or anything. All of a sudden, Mario Brother and Goomba and all the rest of them are all just dancing around doing some very white rap that that they were doing.
The idea of wandering around the Pokemon cartoon sounds delightful. Most of those are small and unobtrusive.
I don't know. I never really got Pokemon. My son was into it for a little while. Got the cards and all of that, but I never really got the appeal of Pokemon. But I guess it wasn't meant for me at the time.
Yeah, I think anything where there's a lot of fighting and battling would not be a good place to be.
Yeah, yes.
I don't think I'd do well in a hand-to-hand combat.
In Pokemon, you're not fighting; it's just your pocket monster.
In Pokemon, you send someone else to do the battling for you while you drink a beer.
True.
I feel like that's
true.
The
Yeah, like Transformers, He-Man, any of those things. I don't feel like you'd probably be too safe in those worlds.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a rough town. We don't,
Although if you're going to some place that's a rough town, you want a place that has superheroes that can protect you, right?
That's fair. I just met the Shredder from the second Ninja Turtles movie last weekend at a conference.
Did you?
Yeah, that was fun. And the Turtles were there too, but no one cares because they were the guys in suits. But Shredder and April were there, and those are people who you can actually, I've seen them on...
See their face, yeah.
They're redoing what is it? The Toxic Avenger, I saw.
Yeah.
They're rebooting that. But it's got real people in it, like Elijah Wood and I don't know, Matthew McConaughey it's got real stars in it. So this time, I actually knew the original Toxic Avenger. It was a guy named Mitch Cohen, who was the original Toxie, because he was friends with the guys from Troma, and he was bodybuilding at the time. They're like, "You want to be in a movie?" It's like, "Sure, why not?" And so that's it. He was the original Toxic Avenger. I met him when I worked for Rico. He was selling copiers. So that was his.
Sometimes that's the way it goes.
It's okay to meet your heroes, though. It's okay. So.
A couple of years back, I met Pam from the Meat Hook from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she was sitting dogs. That was her job now, to watch wealthy people's dogs.
Well, horror films, especially if you're one of the victims, it usually doesn't lead to too much for the most part. And unfortunately, it usually goes to an OnlyFans account. But nowadays, I think you're going to see a lot more independent films blossom because Hollywood's pretty much garbage now. Is there still one strike going on? They got the writers have all come back now, but the
writers are the writers are back. The actors are still going.
So but at least they've got because you got to write things before you act them. So it's good to have it that way instead of the other way, because at least they can start writing things. So once the actors are done striking, they've got stuff to act in, right? Like if it was the other way around, you'd have the actors here, but nothing written for them. So
silent films.
We did a silent film. Didn't we do a silent film for the 48-hour film project one year? Maybe I did that one. You weren't with me on that one.
I remember watching one that you made that had title cards in it and was sort of sepia toned, I think.
You did a Doritos commercial. That was the train tracks.
Yeah, I did a couple of silent film commercials, but I was thinking I did a short film for the 48-hour film project thing, but I don't know. I've done too many things now to remember all of them. And maybe some are, better to just forget.
Some are best left unsaid.
That's it.
We should talk after this about your Nazi conspiracy book and maybe making that into a movie.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. Again, I'm intrigued here. So
we've taken on the film producer role, and we've started putting together some bigger things. So we'll talk about it.
Very good.
It'd be interesting. I think the main difficulty with that story is just the fact that it, takes place in various places around the world.
We can make it work from Texas. We got all the biomes down here. We'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah, it's doable. Yeah. I've got an idea for a short film that I want to shoot sometime in the Badlands in South Dakota. You know, where they got all the like spire looking things, but like in the winter when it's all frozen. I think that would be really cool.
Okay. So you're going to do a live action Frozen then. So you're going to beat Disney
with
to
all
the
the
punch.
singing and everything. Yeah.
It's going to happen eventually, so it might as well be now.
Right. That's true. Once the copyright's starting to be up, right, then they do redo it to restart the copyright on the
Winnie
story.
the Pooh, Blood and Honey. That's exactly it.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh. We didn't mention Winnie the Pooh. That's another cartoon you could go live in.
Winnie the Pooh. Well, all right. We have the scale because you have Christopher Robin in there, so you know about the size of everybody. But yeah, that could be interesting.
If you're murderous in that show, I guess it'd be fine to hang out there with the weird animals talking to you from time to time.
Cool. Well, this has been fun. I thought it would be an interest. This is one of those topics that I had on my list of potential topics to talk about sometime, and I thought for some reason with you guys, I just thought I think they're gonna be able to talk about cartoons for a while. I think this would be perfect for them. So cool. So before I forget, let's start with you, Steve. Steve, where can people find stuff about you? Where do you want to direct people?
Okay. So I guess the easiest place is my website, which hasn't been updated in a while, but stevesvoiceovers.com. You can do that. If you just Google my name also, I've done a bunch of audiobooks now for Audible, which were fun to do. Some on my own, some as part of a multicast kind of live action cartoon type of a thing. So there's stuff there. Again, Karis Hell. The whole trilogy now, as well as some other movies that I did. Shingles is another movie, which was the more adult version of Goosebumps, anthology horror stuff, where I play the voice of a ventriloquist dummy who is not very nice. Just Google my name, you'll find me out there. I work cheap.
Yeah.
Bar mitzvahs, weddings, whatever you need, it's all good. So I'm here for you. So.
Cool. Awesome. We'll put links in the show notes to all that stuff. Michael, you got you're doing some producing? Anything you're working on that you want to promote?
I mean, nothing that we can really talk about just yet. That's how it is in the producer world. You have to get to the end of the road before you can tell people that you actually managed to do something.
Well, what's the most recent thing that you got to the end of the road on that you want people to see?
We've only been here for 2 years, so we're getting close to the end of the road on a few things, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
So thespeedofplot.com, that's where you can find all of the stuff. I'm super Googleable. You can hear all three of us in ancient episodes of the Watson Files from 10 years ago.
And the Ark of Time.
And the Ark of Time.
I always forget about that.
What was the other one with the guy that was undercover? Oh, it was Undercover. That's what it's called, Undercover. Yeah. I was going to say with the guy that was undercover. What was that called?
You know, all the Poe recordings that we
did.
Poe.
I still get comments on those YouTube videos, the Poe ones, from people that, you know, there's still teachers out there having their kids watch our recordings of those. So
we are super relevant. Look for us and listen to us wherever you get.
I still love queuing up, what is it, the setup?
Oh, yeah, the setup.
Once a year, I see a picture of the tattoo on my neck in my time hop, and I remember fondly those days.
And Greg, you got something you want to promote?
I mean, the last thing that I would be promoting was the novel I wrote, but that was now, I don't know, 4 years ago?
Is that out there somewhere?
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
All right, well, I'll put a link to it.
It's called The Truth of Dare.
The Truth of Dare. I like the title.
Which is funny. If you just search for the title on Amazon, you'll never find it because there's too many books about truth or dare.
Right.
I can only find it if I search for my full name, and then it pops right up. But it keeps asking me, "Are you sure you're not searching for Greg Kildare or something like that?" I'm like, no. Did I type Kildare?
If you Google either of my books, you're not necessarily going to find them either because, of course, the Nazi conspiracy. I mean, there's going to be a billion things with similar titles, and my other book was just called Framed, and there's a billion, mysteries called Framed too. So,
The nice thing is I can look those up in my bookcase.
Right. Yep. I've
Look
got.
at that.
Hold on. Look at this.
Oh, we're gonna get the formal plug now.
Right there on my bookcase, right behind me.
Oh, very
Very
nice.
good. Very, very good.
Seeing Life Along the Glass by Greg Kilberger and The Legend of Lochlinnia, Book 1, Michael Helgens.
There are, in fact, 2 of them now. There's a
Are there?
third one
Okay.
that rattles around in my brain, but I'm pulling a Stephen King and making people wait 27 years to see the third one.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun. It was good to see you guys again and talk with you.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll have to have each of you on another time, maybe with other people or maybe with all of you again. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm always ready for it. It was good seeing you guys and playing again with all you guys. So I'm
Absolutely.
glad everybody's doing well. So that's terrific. I don't know if the one episode of What If we did, where JFK was a farmer or something like that.
That's not there anymore.
That never happened. We
Yeah.
did
No,
talk about
I don't know what
that.
you're talking about. I think you dreamed that.
Probably for the best.